is saddest truth you've come to accept? Story 1. Somebody told me this when my kid was 6 now and still not close I hope, carrying your kid, one day you'll put them down but it'll be the last time and neither of you will know. Story 2. You can't argue or debate with facts anymore. People will believe news and advice delivered to them via Facebook meme as opposed to from a doctor or reputable source. Story 3. That some mothers are incapable of love, no maternal instinct, no empathy or compassion. Some mothers are actually quite toxic and vindictive to their own kids. I call such mothers womb carriers. They do not deserve the label mother. Story 4. Sometimes you do, actually and unexpectedly, bury your parents way before you'd ever expect to. 32F. My father died last month. I told him I was done talking to him until he went to rehab and got help. He died 3 days later in his rehab and detox. I have no answers and I'm angry. Story 5. That you and everyone you love are going to die. If they die first, you will experience unspeakable grief. If you die first, they will experience unspeakable grief. No way out. Story 6. Loads of people say how COVID brought the world together, but it proved to me how people are so selfish, self-interested, and uncaring. Most MFs couldn't be bothered to stand 2 m away from other people and wear a mask. I had friends on social media putting posts about how doctors and nurses were heroes, and then the next day uploading photos of family gatherings of sometimes 12 or more people in their house, when restrictions were still at their highest. Story 7. People born after around 1990 will never truly have a fulfilling life. They'll never have the security and stability their parents had. The best thing they can hope for is to survive and find little things that make surviving worthwhile. Story 8. Some people will hate you. I knew this guy for 6 years. He was a nice guy. One day, I asked him if he wanted to hang out with me, and he just told me how everyone had said that wasn't true behind my back, that I was some weirdo with no life. I thought ID felt true pain. ID just wanted to be included, but life showed me more. Later I had learned that he, out of all people, started the rumors. When I confronted him, he just said I was annoying. That day still haunts me. And some people will instantly change for no reason. I have over 150 friends or something, lost count, but I only have 3 real friends. Ever since that incident, I've stopped caring about trying to make everyone happy. Some people just hate you. Story 9. One time, Doritos came out with a new chip and they were trying out on the public. It was hamburger flavor, and it tasted and satiated just like a charbroiled old-fashioned burger. I was stunned, and it became my favorite flavor. The promotion must have lasted only a week because I never saw it again. That was 15 years ago, and I've accepted I'll never see it again though it consumes me. Story 10. My life probably peaked before my wife cheated on me. Now I'm divorced, will probably never be able to buy a house, and will, in all likelihood, spend the rest of my life in the shadow of how good my life was before that happened. Story 11. That my sister never grew out of disliking me for being born. I am 60, and she is 64, she was the only girl before I was born. She has traumatized me my entire life, and all I wanted was a sister. I've cut her out of my life for my mental health. Story 12. Life sucks in general. Not everything in life sucks, but you spend 90 of your time doing shitty things, to then go and spend most of your money and the 10 of your time that you have left on things that make you happy. Story 13. You can never really trust coworkers. I have gotten on really well with people I worked with to the point where we would go out after work or weekends. However, one random comment I said or some sure posting on social media has got me in trouble. One, I actually had a really day, so I said stupidly on a random post because I needed to vent. I have had a day that almost costed me my job, but my FB was not public, so it would have been one of those people I trusted who dobbied me in. This was a long time ago, but I simply never say anything work-related on social media. No one should, nor do I say who I work for, as I cannot risk that kind of bullshit again. Seriously, never trust anyone you work with for anything, as there are always snakes ready to bite. Story 14. Love isn't enough. You can love your partner, and I mean that love that poets write about, and they can love you just as much, but there are so many things that can still end that relationship. It's not a lack of love that ends it, it's that they weren't in a place mentally to be in a relationship, or you need to focus on your work or studies or 1,000 other things. Sometimes, your situations just don't work out, and sometimes you will get back together when the situation changes, and sometimes you won't ever speak again. Story 15. People lie to improve their position. Yes, even your parents. As someone who is overly honest and a very straight talker, this took me some time to accept. In my mind, all people were like me. When I say something, I mean it, no hidden meaning, no underlying message. Story 16. That you can do everything right and still fail. Learning this lesson almost broke me, tbh. The other one that was a hard pill to swallow is that things don't just happen to people because they're good or bad. Good things happen to be bad people, and bad things happen to good people. The world is unjust, or maybe we're the unjust ones. Story 17. Bullies win. At school, at work, in life. We are told that you should stand up to bullies and to fight for justice. But unfortunately that's not the reality. Bullies do win, more often than not, and will continue in life without consequences. To try to stand up for yourself will only wear you down and break you as a person. It's not fair, but it's true. My advice to my younger self would be, if you can leave the school, leave the job, leave the environment, look after your mental health, don't fight for justice. Story 18. The country I knew and loved is gone. My rights as a woman will be slowly stripped away. We are descending into fascism and half the country is cheering it on. empathy is something people lack thanks to social media. Story 19. There are a lot of PPL in the world who do not understand personal responsibility. They never had it, and they don't treasure it. The world owes them, but they owe nothing to the world. A lot of such PPL have messed up understanding of power. Such PPL confuse power and control. They end up being controlling and powerless from the inside. It's nuanced because often such understanding of power, control, responsibility is nurture-based, and some PPL just don't have the resources to learn about the tools of live that are available to any human psyche. Story 20. The chance of me having a healthy, emotionally mature and properly connected partner is close to zero. I have accepted that I might never get the chance to experience what a healthy family looks like. I'm not exactly sad about it as life is not always picture perfect, but how sad it is to accept it. Story 21. No matter how hard you try to help someone with addiction, they have to want to change themselves. Watched my sister struggle for years before I finally understood this. Story 22. That my mother hated me. How else could she stay with a partner so abusive towards me? And indeed she abused me too on occasion, but she pretends it didn't happen, and recently said she was confused when I tried to talk to her, and she latches onto things said when I broke down, as indeed doctors do, to prove that it's me not her. Story 23. After 28 years of waiting, nobody's gonna come surprise me at midnight with a cake. Learnt my final lesson a few days ago. Chilled with my dog though, got high and watched Tropic Thunder. Story 24. The universe does not care. We are a solitary blue blip in an eternity of nothingness. However, I'm not a nihilist. I see my fundamental job as putting a little love, kindness, and laughter where there was less before, leaving the place better than it was. Story 25. That you have to pay a life tax just to survive. Everything from sleeping to eating, drinking water, staying healthy, working, paying bills, cleaning the house, cooking, etc. We spend so much of our life paying this tax every day and in the end have very little free time. Story 26. That the idea of fairness is a construct. Fairness is not the natural order of things, and that if we want fairness we must fight for it, and not just for ourselves but for everyone. Story 27. That no one gives a FK about you because there is a great lack of empathy in the world, and you will encounter more people who despise you than care about you, so keep the genuine people as close as possible, because throughout your life, there will be fewer and fewer who truly care. Story 28. The more you get to see and do, the less magic you'll be able to find in the world. I wouldn't trade my travels and experiences for anything, but the world was much more magical and wondrous when I was a 17-year-old that had never left Ohio. Story 29. Whether or not you were abused or neglected as a child has a single biggest impact on your adult life and health. You also don't control majority of things. Story 30. That nerdy communities, or at least having a healthy social life in them at least, is sort of a catch-22, like people hype it up along with these other idealized traits, only for it to peak early and fall short when it comes down to it. Sure, you can share memes and other stuff that lots of other people love, but it's a one-sided thing. It seems like you have to make your friends early, otherwise you are sort of locked out, unless you can meet people who are in this healthy middle ground and are open to branching out socially, or really just in general people aren't as sociable as they like to act like they are. Story 31. Nothing you do in your life actually matters unless you are part of a 0,0001 like Einstein, Mozart, etc. You'll be forgotten and irrelevant within 3 generations. All the hours you work, stress, suffer, etc. are in the scheme of things irrelevant. Story 32. People are easily brainwashed, from the election of this corrupt president to cults to tariffs to black ragdolls to internet scams. Bystanders, using their brains and common sense, are confused how some people are so easily duped and believe any BS fed to them. Story 33. This pain is never going away. It still hurts after decades. Also, I am the age I am. I miss my childhood and young adult childhood. I don't have a time machine to go back and do it over, however, I'm alive and a lot of that tragic stuff rarely even crosses my mind. Story 34. An old man once told young me that any once for the right amount of money, me being naive, refused to believe him. Now that I'm an old man, I've seen firsthand what he meant many times. Story 35. Most people are either not good people or actively bad. There are good people, sure, but the difference in number of good to bad is mind-blowing. Be careful with humans. Story 36. I will never have a nice house, money, or any hobbies that require more than 200 to do. I will however not kick my kids out when they turn 18. They will need jobs and the rent they pay me will go into a Roth IRA under their name. IDGAF if they live with any their entire lives. I will never do what my parents did. Story 37. My ex doesn't want me even after I worked on myself. I'm concerned I failed as a pet parent because I wasn't working on myself, meaning I didn't ask questions and I wish I gave my cats a better life. Story 38. It's not going to get better. Prices aren't going to come down. We'll just slowly get used to the current ones and in a few years they'll surge up again. Healthcare will still be seen as a privilege for the wealthy. Taxes will rise. Wars and hatred will continue to escalate. Shit's over. Story 39. Most of the time, people at your place of work don't give two shits about you. In fact, maybe they even outright hate you. They're just really good at pretending as though they enjoy your company, but they are absolutely not your friends. So whatever you do, don't get attached to your coworkers. If they go no contact with you after you stop working there, they don't care about you, which happens a good 95% of the time these days. A true friend wouldn't see you as someone they're obligated to put up with. I met my friends at a youth club. Story 40 that after my estranged father's suicide in 2022, I'll never get the chance to have a healthy relationship with him when that's all I've ever wanted since I was a little girl. I've accepted that truth, but it hurts. Story 41 after my mother's passing, reconnecting with her family, and learning about her history because she would never talk about it. It was learning this that my mother never loved my father, and she never loved me for looking like him. She only loved my sister because even though she looked like my father also, she had darker skin and hair, so my mother would pretend my sister was her child with a man she really loved. A man who abandoned her when she had a medical emergency, but who she gave all of my father's money to. Even if that meant homelessness for her, me, and my sister, she was a bad mom, but I had chalked it up to her mental illness and bad upbringing. Learning this now about her, I'm less sad about my decision to let her die alone. Story 42 been in chronic pain since my early 20s. Likely, it won't go away and I'll die with that pain. Walking hurts, using my knees hurts, my fingers hurt. Also got married early 20s. Honestly a gem of a wife and mother of my kid, but we don't get physical anymore. After countless rejections, signs, asking what I can do differently etc. it just doesn't happen. And I'm in my late 20s now, I don't see the situation getting better as we age. I've come to accept it now and to be honest, I stopped getting urges as well, and it's made me a bitter person. I don't like it anymore. My wife is great though and she does a lot. I can't really fully blame her, but it still hurts. Story 43 that I'll never have a normal mom. My mom has bipolar and a brain injury. She's basically got the mentality of a 14 years old. I can't rely on her for anything really, not even advice. I'm an only child and I don't know my dad, so I'm pretty much completely alone in the world. Story 44 that I want to have children because I can't possibly put anyone in that position. Them needing to take care of me or worst of all, die and leave them alone. I've left home a year and a half ago, and every time I think about how my mum of 64 years old might be sick and I can't be there for her, I'm in ugly tears. Story 45 a few things people are not as strong as they think they are. I think I am mentally quite strong and I still had a massive breakdown with life. People care about you, but only as much as it's not out of their comfort zone. It's up to oneself to keep okay. People can repair what is broken within them, but people have to want to, and lots of times we're just used to it. And it's difficult to change things we are used to. Story 46 the saddest truth. Growing up on superhero movies and Hollywood protagonist ideals that shaped me into a perfectionist, only to realize I'm more or less mediocre, like the most, and false agendas misleading you believe you're in that one. For me, that's the saddest truth I had to accept. Story 47 that I missed the opportunity to buy a house and now it's probably too late for me. I'm starting to accept that I will be renting the rest of my life. Story 48 you can do everything right and the world will decide, through no fault of your own, to you and everything can come crashing down. Money dries up quick when you can't work, lose your job. In a split second, you can be devastatingly injured in an accident. The person you love the most could get a weird cough today, and it's the beginning of days, months, years of pain for you both. While you spiral into debt, life is fragile and delicate and chaotic and outside your control. At any moment, your normal can be shattered and upended, and you will never be able to return. Jobs get lost, devastating accidents happen, illnesses develop, things change. All this to say, from someone who has been there, love your people that deserve your love. Tell them, take a moment to appreciate the things that you do have, even if it's not much, because I promise you, it can always get worse. And show a little grace to those who are struggling. You have no idea what happened to get them there, and once you lose everything you've worked for, it's a downward spiral that is nearly impossible to drag yourself out of. Be kind. Story 49 having delved into numerous topics concerning materials, I've realized how severely depleted we are on resources. At the current rate, we have about 50 to 100 years worth of certain vital metals and minerals left at our disposal, resources we're gladly wasting away on, e.g. short-lived items and the latest and greatest within phone technology. But I know there's no point shouting to high heaven about it, because we clearly can't change as a species and any attempts of rectifying it has so far barely been an afterthought. Story 5099 of the time, love is just practical. You're not gonna have one and only soulmate that'll stick by you no matter what you are. They will evaluate you, and you will too. Story 51 as a trans woman, accepting that I'll never be a cis woman and I'll never be able to go back and transition when I was a teenager. The healing and the transition got easier when I accepted that and what it meant. Story 52 I used to think that people aren't bad. They are sometimes born into bad places, or get stuck in a bad situation or the environment forces them to do a bad deed, but a few years ago something happened and I realized that some people are just evil and we can't do anything about it. Story 53 people's apathy in general to suffering. As long as they are comfortable, they absolutely don't care about anyone or anything. They aren't incapable of empathy but rather choose not to experience it. Story 54 if you're really, truly aware of just a fraction of what's going on in this world, human existence is a vastly more negative experience than positive. Ignorance is truly bliss.